1996, the year Paul Edgecombe was haunted with the ghosts of his past. While living in Georgia Pines retirement home, he could not avoid them, so instead he decided to write down what happened in 1932, the timeline these ghosts had risen from. In the story The Green Mile by Stephen King, the year 1932 had been emotionally taxing for Paul at the Cold Mountain State Penitentiary, especially since it was during the Depression. Paul worked on the E-block called by the inmates the Green Mile, with the electric chair or Old Sparky at the end. It all started when Percy Wetmore came into the picture. He had gotten his job and was not fired from it because of one thing: his family's connections. When Mr. Jingles the Mouse started to make appearances, Percy tried many times to squash him, but Mr. Jingles always escaped. Edward Delacoste Della rise barking Percy's hatred. Mr. Jingles and Dell became the best of friends, and it turns out that Mr. Jingles could perform tricks. John Coffey was the next to arrive. He was an African-American, 6'8", broad shoulders, muscular all over, and was a fader of the dark. He was being executed for raping and murdering 2 little girls. Willie Morton, named Wild Bill by the guards, is brought in. He is a crazy teenager who just does not care. The day that Dell was going to be taken to Old Sparky was the day that Percy pounced and squashed Mr. Jingles. In a plot twist, John heals the mouse from the brink of death in front of everyone except Percy. John had sucked out all the darkness, better yet injustice of the world in that mouse, and then coughed it up in the form of black maggots. Percy sabotaged Dell's execution. He did not wet the sponge that conducted electricity, which had made Dell suffer and burned him alive. John is taken to the warden's wife to heal her from a brain tumor. John heals her, but this time he does not cough off the injustice, he holds it in. When they arrive back at the Green Mile, John forces all of the maggots into Percy. The injustice makes Percy brain dead after it composes him to kill Wild Bill. Even though John Coffey is innocent, he still walks down the Green Mile all the way up to Old Sparky. When Paul tried to put the mask on, John said, "Please don't put me in the dark. Don't make me go into the dark. I's afraid of the dark." So the mask is not put over John's head when Old Sparky is fired up. Paul shares his riding with another resident. She realizes he's 104 years old. He then introduces her to an old friend, Mr. Jingles. In the end, it is shown how Mr. Jingles and Paul had been kept alive by John's healing. He had taken out of them a part of the darkness that kills everyone.